Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the e-content of third semester BSc text, that is Eloquentia 3. So, today let us start with session 1. So, in session 1, we have an article called Water, the Elixir of Life by C.V. Raman. So here we are going to explore a few thought-provoking articles written by Sir C.V. Raman, India's first Nobel Prize winner in science. The title of our lesson is Water, the Elixir of Life. Now, when we hear the word elixir, what comes to your mind? Yes, something which is magical, which is life giving, maybe even healing. So in Kannada, we can say elixir means amrita. So in this essay, Raman calls water as the true elixir because without it, life on earth simply cannot exist. So let's dive in and understand not only the scientific importance of water but also its role in agriculture, human civilization, and even the beauty of nature. So we shall go to the next slide here, the content. So here the contents are, so we shall study the objectives, the outcomes, some of the pre-reading questions which you can discuss in the class, and we shall see something about the author, and I'm going to introduce you to the text, the themes of the text, and we will recap from the objectives to themes once again. And just to check if you have listened to the session or not, we'll go for some multiple choice questions. So this is the content of this session. So let us move to the next slide, that is the objectives. So let us see what are the objectives of this session. To begin with, we should understand water's importance in life. What are the importance? Where we use, why we use, how we use, why do we need water? Okay, so the second one is learn how water shapes Earth's history. So here C.V. Raman talks about civilizations. So we will be discussing it in the next session in detail. Next objective is to recognize the need for water conservation. So here we can explain water's role in agriculture, vegetation, and explores water role in agriculture, discuss soil erosion and conservation, identify sustainable practices. So here we are going to realize our responsibility in conserving water also. So these are some of the objectives of learning this article. So by the end of this session, what are we going to learn? What should we learn by the end of this session? To begin with, the scientific, economic, and aesthetic importance of water. After listening to the session, we should know the scientific, economic, and aesthetic importance of water, and we should be able to explain water's role in agriculture and vegetation, to develop critical thinking and natural resource conservation, to become environmentally responsible individuals. So here we should realize our own responsibility in conserving water. Why we should conserve water for the next generation, and we should also think critically about how to conserve, why to conserve the natural resources. So, and we should also understand the scientific, economic, and aesthetic value of the water. So these are some of the outcomes of this session. After listening to both the sessions, you should be able to get, these are the takeaway points. So you should realize all these points So the role of water, the scientific temperament, the critical thinking, and the environmental responsibility of every individual, all these are takeaway points. So now let us move to the pre-reading questions. So before we go into the text, let's think together. Why is water important for all living beings? So, in the class, you discuss among your friends with your teacher. Just try to answer these questions. Why do we need water? How do we use it? So, can human beings, animals, or plants survive without water? If they survive, how they survive? If they not, why not? So, you should be able to answer these questions using our daily life experience and our common sense. In what different ways do we use water in a daily life? How do we use water? How would your life change if there was no water in your home for one whole day, or maybe 2 days, or maybe a week? Just start guessing or just recall your experiences. Sometimes we do experience there is no water, maybe some corporation strike must be there, or even in summer there will be water scarcity, especially in the cities like Bengaluru. So you can recall your own experience when you didn't had any water at your home. So you share your experience in the class with your teacher and your friends. And the last one is, why is the earth called blue planet? So what would happen if your home didn't get water for the full day? And think about your morning routine also, like brushing, bathing, cooking, cleaning. So imagine your life without water, how it might be. So now, why do you think the earth is called the blue planet? Right. Because nearly 71% of it is covered with water. So everybody knows this. But here, the twist, only about 3% of this fresh water can be used. So the usable, though there is a 71% of water on the earth, but only 3% is fresh water. That too, usable water is just 3%. So scientists even they search for signs of water in other planets also, right? Why are they in search of water in other planets also? Because if water exists, there is a chance that life could exist in that planet. So clearly, water is not just a natural resource; it is a lifeline. So these questions, these points can be discussed in the class. So this is the second slide for pre-reading questions. I'll just read it for you. Do you think the supply of water on earth is unlimited? Give reasons. What difficulties might villages or cities face if there is a shortage of water? So you can talk about it in hours, in full day you can talk about this. See, why do scientists always search for signs of water when they study other planets? So this is what we were just talking about. When you see a river, waterfall or rain, what thoughts or feelings come to your mind? So what do you understand by the word elixir? Can water be considered an elixir of life? Why? So these are, I have given you 10 points for pre-reading activities. So these questions can be discussed to realize or to get awareness about the water, the conservation of water, the importance of water. So now let's come to the next slide about the author. So let me tell you about the great scientist behind this lesson, that is Sir Chandrasekhara Venkata Raman, C.V. Raman. He is born in 1988. He was the first Asian Nobel laureate in science. He got his Nobel Prize in Physics in 1930 for discovering the Raman effect. His research explained why the sky and sea appear blue. He studied sound, musical instruments, crystals, and light. He also founded the Raman Research Institute in Bengaluru. What's special here is how Raman, though a physicist, wrote about water in such a simple, beautiful, and relatable way, connecting science with daily life. So that is really wonderful. So here we have his contributions to science are he has discovered the inelastic scattering of light by molecules leading to Raman effect, which revolutionized the spectroscopy. And of course, as I told you before, he got Nobel Prize in Physics in 1930. He is the first Asian to win the Nobel Prize in Science for his work on light scattering. And his contribution in molecular physics is he provided deep insights into molecular structure, vibrations, and rotations using Raman spectroscopy. So, acoustics and musical instruments studied the physics of sound, particularly in stringed instruments like veena and tabla, optics and light scattering. So he explained why the sea appears blue, that is due to water molecules scattering the sunlight. So he also founded Raman Research Institute in 1948, which is the premier research institute in Bengaluru, and it is of course world famous institute now. So he has also contributed to crystallography, that is he worked on X-ray diffraction and crystal dynamics, and a national science leadership which played a key role in shaping India's scientific policies and institutions. So now let's get into the lesson. So I'm going to give you a small introduction of this lesson. Raman's purpose in writing this essay was not just scientific, it was also moral and social. So he shows us that water is the real elixir of life. So he says, see, to highlight the importance of water, this is why he has written this essay or article. Raman wanted readers to realize that water is the true elixir that sustains all forms of life. He connects it to human civilization, agriculture, and natural beauty. So, how he connects water to the civilizations? We are going to study this in session 2. So, he stresses how great civilizations arose near rivers and depended on water for growth. So, almost all the civilizations they start near the river banks because for everything we do need water, and to emphasize agricultural dependence on water. So he underlined water's role in soil fertility, crop growth, and food production and food prosperity also. So he not only for all these uses, but he also talks about the aesthetic part of the water, the beauty of nature. So we can see the rivers, streams, rains, we just enjoy the beauty. So it has become an inspiration for so many poets to write beautiful poems. So, and the major part is he wanted to spread the awareness about the scarcity of water. He cautions readers about the limited availability of fresh water and risks of misusing of the water. So we have to conserve the water and to advocate conservation. Like he urged careful use of water, rainwater harvesting, and scientific water management. And to inspire the responsibility also. This is the responsibility of all the people of the world. He wanted everyone to respect water and share natural resources and use it wisely, and to balance science and Of course, the aesthetics, as I told you before. So, the purpose was to show both scientific value and aesthetic charm of water. To leave a lasting message, the essay was meant to remind humanity that protecting water is protecting life itself. So, now let us move to the themes of the lesson. What are the themes? So, let's break down the main themes now. First theme is water as a source of life, that it sustains every living being. Without it, earth would be lifeless. There wouldn't have been any life on earth without water. So that is why scientists are searching water in some other planets, so that if they find some water, it means that life might be there. Somebody like us, human beings or animals, something might be there in other planets also. So, water and human civilization. So, this is a great connection actually. The process of human civilization has always been linked to the availability of water. Cities and cultures usually grow around rivers like Nile, Ganga, Euphrates. I think in your school days you have read it in your history books how all the civilizations grew near water bodies like rivers, because the land will be fertile, they can grow something, they can nurture the agriculture and for their settlements and culture. So usually it grows around the especially the major civilizations, they grew near Nile, Ganga, Euphrates, because the rain and irrigation decide the success of crops. If there is no water, food scarcity will be there. So, and water as a beautifier also, so streams, waterfalls and rains, they bring us joy and inspiration. Let us move to the next slide. Okay. So imagine a hill station. Without its rivers or greenery, would it feel the same? No. So if there is a beautiful small streams flowing, if there is a river, if there is a water body, so the spiritual joy of water it brings to the human beings is very much, it's an aesthetic value it has. So the flowing rivers, waterfalls, streams, ponds, lakes, it adds the beauty to the nature. So then we can talk about the scientific importance of the water. That is, water is called the universal solvent. If you are a chemistry student, you will know very well how it can be a universal solvent. And water is the one which shapes the landscapes, influencing climate. It of course water influences climate and making it very unique kind. So scarcity and conservation, that is, even though water looks abundant, fresh water is very limited. It is really scarce. So misuse of the water, it will lead to droughts and crisis. So of course water is abundant, as we said it in the previous slides. We have 71% of water on the earth, but that doesn't mean that we get all the 71%. We just get 3% of water to use. So we have to conserve water. So misuse of water, overconsumption of water, wastage of water, that will definitely lead to scarcity and crisis. So already we are facing a big scarcity, especially in some of the northern cities. There is literally no water to drink at all. We can see in the Rajasthan, the women of the house, they walk for kilometers, 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers to just get a pot of water to drink. So already there is a scarcity and crisis of water. So it is our responsibility to conserve the water. This is what Raman is here, he is talking about. So water as a unifying force. So every human, plant, animal depends on water. So it connects us all. So Raman balances science, beauty, and responsibility in this essay. So it symbolizes unity, interdependence of natural world. So now let us recap what we talked about now. So we were talking about the objectives. So objectives are water, how it is the elixir of life, and we were talking about some of the outcomes, what you should, what are the takeaway points after listening to this essay, after listening to this session. So there you should be able to explain the role of water, role in agriculture, role in vegetation. You should be able to understand its scientific and economic and aesthetic values. You should be able to think critically about conservation of natural resources, realize your own responsibility for conserving water. So these are some of the outcomes of this essay. So next we were talking about some of the pre-reading questions. So let us not repeat those as pre-reading questions. So next we are talking about the author. So C.V. Raman, he is a Nobel laureate. He got his Nobel Prize in 1930. He was born in 1888, and he is the one who discovered Raman effect, and his research explained why the sky and sea appear blue. He studied sound, musical instruments, crystals, light, and he also founded Raman Research Institute in Bengaluru. So what's special here is how Raman, though a physicist, wrote about water in such a simple, beautiful and relatable way, connecting science with daily life. Next, there was an introduction about the lesson. So in introduction, Raman shows how water is the real elixir of life. He connects it to human civilization, agriculture and natural beauty. He reminds us of its scarcity and calls for conservation. And the world's greatest civilizations like Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Indus Valley civilization all flourished near the rivers. Why? Because water meant fertile soil, farming, food, and prosperity. So, of course, water is not just for drinking, so it has shaped the human history itself. So, this was the introduction to the lesson we were talking about. So, the last one is themes. So, what were the themes we were talking about? So, water as a source of life, water and human civilization, water in agriculture, water as a beautifier, streams, waterfalls, ponds, lakes. So that beautifies the landscapes, and the scientific importance of water, scarcity and conservation. How there is a scarcity of water and how we should conserve it. So water as a unifying force. Unifying means every human being, plant, animals, all are dependent on water. So it connects us all. So that is what we call as water as a unifying force. So in this essay, Raman balances science, beauty and responsibility in this essay. So now let us see some of the multiple choice questions. So if you are able to answer, of course I have given the answer here, but if you are able to guess the answer, if you are able to tick the answer, it means that you have listened to the lecture very well. So let's see multiple choice 1. Why does C.V. Raman call water the elixir of life? Look at the answer B. Because it sustains all forms of life. What, according to Raman, made Egypt a fertile and prosperous land? What made it? Of course, Egypt means the river Nile, because of the river Nile. What is one of the major causes of soil erosion as mentioned in the lesson? So that is sudden heavy rain and removal of vegetation. Next question. What happens when silt laden river water mixes with sea water? So what will happen? The precipitation of suspended particle occurs. So multiple choice questions. Last one we will see. Which of the following is suggested by Raman to conserve water and prevent soil erosion? That is systematic tree plantation and bund construction. So in conclusion, we say, Sir C.V. Raman not only gave us a scientific discovery that the world remembers, but also a timeless reminder, that is, to respect water as life itself. If we misuse it, we endanger our future. But if we conserve it, we ensure survival, prosperity, and beauty for generations. So, let's carry this message beyond the classroom. You have to practice it in your daily life, because protecting water means protecting our own lives. So, please remember this. Actually, the conclusion, what I said, the concluding part is the takeaway. So, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed this session. Let's meet in session 2 with more description for it.